Welcome to Real Talk 24, the place where we talk about money, mindset, and success. No excuses. If you're ready to level up your life, you're in the right place. Let's begin.
Let's do it.
So I want you to imagine something for a second. Imagine it's 5:0 a.m.
Oh, the dreaded 5:0 a.m.
Right. Your alarm is just blaring. It's pitch black outside. Maybe the wind is howling. It's pouring rain.
Sounds miserable.
Exactly. And every single biological instinct in your body is just screaming at you to stay in bed. I mean, pulling the covers up is all you want to do.
Yeah, the bed has never felt warmer than in that exact moment.
Literally never. And in that fraction of a second, that burning, fiery motivation you felt yesterday.
You boldly set the alarm.
Yes, when you were like, I'm going to change my life tomorrow. Well, that feeling is completely dead. It's just gone. So the question is, what actually makes you get up?
And that right there, that is the ultimate crucible. Because, well, in that specific 5:0 a.m. moment, you are forced to confront something really uncomfortable.
Which is exactly.
The difference between a temporary emotional state and a permanent behavioral framework. Like when the emotion evaporates, what is left over?
For most people, I mean, honestly, the answer is nothing.
Exactly. Nothing at all. They hit snooze.
And that is exactly what we are dismantling today in this deep dive. For you listening right now, we are looking directly at why starting Serverd is never, ever enough.
It's the biggest trap out there.
It really is. We're unpacking this invisible, honestly pretty uncomfortable architecture of human behavior. Because right now, you're probably thinking about that one project you abandoned last month.
Or the fitness routine you dropped after 2 weeks.
You're right. Or that side hustle you paused. You likely told yourself, oh, I just lost my passion for it.
It just wasn't the right time, right?
Yeah.
The classic excuse.
Yep. But based on the text we're analyzing today, you didn't lose your passion. You just hit the boundary of your comfort zone and you were relying on, well, the totally wrong engine to push you through it.
The faulty engine of motivation.
Exactly. And today our mission is to completely replace that faulty engine with a rock-solid, actionable system for daily discipline.
Which requires a huge shift, a fundamental rewiring of how we perceive human energy.
Okay, break that down for me. What do you mean by human energy?
Well, we've basically been sold this cultural lie that peak performance requires peak emotion.
Oh, like you have to be hyped up all the time.
Right, that you need to feel a certain way, like inspired or fired up or completely aligned with the universe before you can actually execute a task.
Which sounds exhausting, honestly.
It is. And that lie is precisely why so many people are stuck in this perpetual, exhausting cycle of just starting and stopping over and over.
So let's examine that cycle, because I think the initial phase of any new endeavor, what we could call the trap of starting high, is incredibly deceptive.
It tricks you every time.
It really does. You decide you're going to change your life, you watch a YouTube video, you read a self-help book, and you get hit with this massive wave of inspiration.
Your brain is basically flooding with dopamine at that point.
Exactly. Biologically, you get this massive spike and you feel completely invincible. You're like, I'm going to work out every day for the rest of my life.
I'm never eating carbs again.
Right. But then 4 days later, it's just gone. The feeling vanishes. It's like hitting a brick wall at 60 miles an hour.
And it hurts.
Yeah. But the underlying failure here isn't a lack of desire, is it? It's more like a fundamental miscategorization of what motivation actually is.
Precisely. We treat motivation like it's the actual vehicle that's going to drive us to our destination.
Like it's the car itself.
Yes, but it is not. Motivation is a feeling, whereas discipline is a decision. They are fundamentally different things.
Because feelings change, right?
Constantly. If we look at the neurochemical reality of human emotion, feelings are inherently fragile. They are literally designed by evolution to be transient.
Wait, designed to be transient? Why?
Because if you were stuck in one emotional state forever, you couldn't react to your environment. Your emotional state is supposed to fluctuate continuously based on endless, unpredictable variables.
Like what kind of variables?
Everything. What was your rapid eye movement sleep cycle like last night?
Probably terrible.
Right. Did your blood sugar drop? Did your boss send you a passive-aggressive email? Is the barometric pressure shifting outside? All of that affects your mood.
Oh, wow. So it's basically completely out of our control.
A lot of it is, yeah.
Yeah.
So if your pursuit of a massive multi-year goal is tethered to something as highly volatile as your daily mood,
then your progress is going to be just as chaotic as your mood swing.
Exactly. You're building a skyscraper on a fault line.
That makes me think about how we power a car. I mean, motivation is essentially just the starter motor.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Right. It has enough juice to turn the engine over to create that initial spark. You turn the key and it roars to life.
But you can't drive on it.
Exactly. If you try to merge onto the highway and drive 500 miles using nothing but the starter motor, it's going to burn out in like 3 minutes.
You'll be stranded on the shoulder with a smoking engine.
Yep. So discipline is the alternator. It isn't flashy, it doesn't make a loud, aggressive noise when you turn the key, but it continuously feeds power back into the system while the engine actually runs.
I'm really glad you brought up the starter motor because it highlights exactly why motivation is so deceptive.
Because it feels so powerful.
Yeah, it feels like real, sustainable momentum. It gives you this massive surge of chemical reward at the very beginning of a project.
Even before you've actually done any real work.
Exactly. It tricks your brain into thinking the work is already half done. You announce your new diet on social media. People congratulate you.
Oh man, the social media announcement trap.
It's deadly.
Yeah.
Your brain gets all those likes and says, look at us, we have changed. We are a completely new person.
But you haven't even gone to the gym yet.
Not once.
Yeah.
But because it is just an emotional spike, it abandons you the absolute second you face physical or psychological friction.
The moment it gets hard.
Right. Motivation is a fair weather friend. If you build your empire on the assumption that you will always feel the way you did on day one, you're guaranteed to fail.
Because day 4 is inevitable. Day 4 is going to arrive and the reality of the work is going to set in. The starter motor starts smoking.
And this is where people make the fatal error.
What's the error?
They confuse the loss of the emotion with the loss of their capability.
Oh wow.
Yeah. They say to themselves, I don't feel motivated anymore, therefore I literally cannot do the task.
I've said that exact phrase to myself so many times. I'm just not feeling it today.
Which is a catastrophic cognitive distortion. I mean, think about it mechanically. You don't need the desire to type on a keyboard in order to physically move your fingers.
That's true. The fingers still work.
Right. You don't need the desire to lift a weight to actually contract your muscles. Your muscles aren't broken just because your mood dropped.
But because we worship motivation, we assume its absence is a red light, like stop, don't move forward.
Exactly. We treat a lack of motivation like a physical injury, which it's not.
Okay, wait, I need to stop you there because this brings up a massive point of friction for the listener.
Okay, let's hear it.
We live in an era that constantly, and I mean constantly, preaches the idea of listening to your body.
Yes. The modern wellness mantra.
Right, so if I am exhausted, if I am burnt out, if I am feeling immense resistance to waking up and doing the work, isn't plowing forward anyway a recipe for disaster?
It's a fair question.
How do we reconcile this modern trope of listening to your body with the mandate to completely ignore your feelings?
It is a really critical distinction to make. Look, there is a profound difference between listening to your body's legitimate signals of injury and listening to your primitive brain's demand for comfort.
So an injury versus an excuse.
Basically, when people say listen to your body, 99% of the time they're actually just listening to their amygdala and their basal ganglia, begging them to conserve calories.
Conserve calories, like we're starving.
Exactly. True discipline acting, independent of emotion. Doesn't mean destroying your joints. It doesn't mean ignoring a literal fever.
So if my leg is broken, I shouldn't run.
Please do not run on a broken leg. But it means recognizing that fatigue, boredom, and a lack of inspiration, those are not injuries.
They're just sensations.
Yes, they are just sensations. And sensations do not dictate actions unless you willingly allow them to.
Okay, so if sensations shouldn't dictate actions, what does this actually look like in practice? The text defines discipline strictly as the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you absolutely do not feel like doing it.
That's the core definition.
But it also introduces a massive caveat that I think changes the entire game for people struggling with this.
The perfection caveat.
Yes, that discipline is about consistency, not perfection.
And this is where we can really alleviate the psychological bottleneck for the listener.
Because when most people hear the word discipline, they picture like a monk.
Or a robot.
Right. They picture someone who operates like a flawless machine, never slipping up, eating plain chicken and broccoli every day, executing every task with 100% precision.
And never feeling an ounce of doubt or laziness.
But that image is a complete trap, isn't it?
It's a massive trap. In fact, perfectionism is actually a defense mechanism used by the ego to avoid doing the hard work.
Wait, really? How so? Explain the mechanics of that. How does aiming for perfection actually sabotage the listener's discipline?
Because perfection demands a flawless environment and a flawless internal state. And humans are fundamentally incapable of sustaining either of those.
Because life is messy.
Exactly. If your standard is perfection, the logic goes something like this. Well, I didn't sleep well last night, so I can't do my full-hour workout perfectly.
And if I can't do it perfectly, I shouldn't do it at all.
Bingo. Therefore, I shouldn't work out at all today. The perfectionist uses the lack of ideal conditions as an excuse to default to zero.
It's an all-or-nothing mindset.
And the first time they stumble, say they eat one cookie in their strict diet, they feel this immense shame.
Which triggers a negative emotional state.
Yes. And because their actions are entirely tethered to their emotions, they quit entirely. The diet is over because of one cookie.
So they are essentially just bargaining with their own fatigue and their own mistakes. And man, we waste an extraordinary amount of mental energy in that negotiation phase, don't we?
We leak cognitive energy all day long negotiating with ourselves.
Just having arguments in our own heads.
All day. Think about the internal dialogue when that 5 a.m. alarm goes off. I'm tired. I'll just close my eyes for 5 minutes.
5 minutes won't hurt.
Maybe I can do the work later tonight instead. But wait, tonight I have that dinner. Okay, I'll definitely start tomorrow.
It's like you were fighting a localized civil war inside your head before your feet have even touched the floor.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
It really is.
And by the time you actually decide to do the task, if you do, your willpower reservoir is completely depleted from the argument itself.
Because you spent all your energy trying to convince yourself to do it.
Exactly. The profound relief of true discipline is that it is a decision made in advance. It completely silences the negotiation.
Because the debate is already over.
Yes, you have already decided you are going to do it, so the internal debate is entirely moot. And taking the pressure of perfection off means you give yourself permission to execute poorly.
Wait, permission to execute poorly. I love that.
You are allowed to hate the task. You are allowed to be tired. You are allowed to operate at 40% capacity on a bad day.
You just aren't allowed to do nothing.
Precisely. Showing up and giving a terrible 40% effort is infinitely better than a 0.
You are giving the listener permission to do a terrible job as long as the job actually gets done. That really transforms discipline from this elusive, magical character trait into just a mundane tool.
Like a wrench?
Exactly, like a wrench in a toolbox. You don't have to feel deeply passionate about the wrench to pick it up and tighten the bolt.
And you don't need a motivational speech to use a wrench?
No. You don't have to be in a state of flow. You just grip the tool and apply physical force.
And over time, the consistent application of that force, no matter how reluctantly it's applied on any given day, moves the needle.
But let's dig into the biological root of this resistance for a second. Because if the concept is logically that simple, just pick up the wrench, do it whether you feel like it or not, why is failure the default state for most people?
That's the million-dollar question.
The framework points out a brutal truth here. It says people do not fail because they lack talent or resources or opportunity. They fail because they choose comfort.
And to understand why we obsessively, relentlessly choose comfort, we have to look at the mismatch between our evolutionary biology and our modern goals.
Okay, take me back to our evolutionary biology.
Well, the human brain is an exquisitely tuned survival machine. And for 99.9% of human history, survival basically meant two things: conserving calories and avoiding unnecessary pain.
Because food was scarce and danger was everywhere.
Exactly. In a hunter-gatherer environment, expending energy when you didn't absolutely have to, like when you weren't actively hunting an animal or running from a predator, that was a severe evolutionary disadvantage.
Oh, because if you burn calories just for fun, you might starve before your next meal.
It could literally lead to starvation. So your brain is wired to be lazy as a survival tactic.
So wait, my brain isn't actively trying to ruin my life or sabotage my business. It legitimately thinks I'm going to starve to death if I burn extra calories waking up early to, like, write code or study for an exam.
That is exactly what it thinks. Your central nervous system does not care about your startup. It does not care about your long-term financial freedom.
It definitely doesn't care about my aesthetic physique.
Not at all. It cares about maintaining homeostasis right now, in this very second.
Wow.
So when you set a goal that requires prolonged discomfort, your brain interprets that voluntary discomfort as a literal physical threat to your survival.
It thinks you're under attack.
It does. It floods your system with signals of fatigue, doubt, and anxiety. It literally says to you, why are we expending precious resources? The cave is warm, the predators are outside. stay put.
It's incredible to think about it that way. The exact same biological mechanism that kept our ancestors alive during an ice age is the exact mechanism preventing someone from launching their podcast or going to the gym.
It is a massive false alarm. Your brain is giving you outdated advice.
But the modern world does not reward those primal survival instincts anymore, does it?
Not at all. The modern economy rewards the exact opposite. It rewards neuroplasticity, complex problem solving, and prolonged deep focus.
None of which are comfortable.
Exactly. And here's the unyielding rule of biological systems. Adaptation only occurs in response to stress.
Like lifting weights.
Right. A muscle only undergoes hypertrophy when it is forced to move a load. It's completely unaccustomed to moving. The brain only builds new neural pathways when it actively struggles to process new, difficult information.
So growth strictly comes from discomfort.
Without exception.
Which means we are essentially in a constant state of internal friction. We have this modern, conscious desire for growth, completely shackled to an ancient subconscious desire for comfort.
It's a tug of war every single day.
So to succeed, you have to intellectually recognize that the discomfort of staying focused is not a threat. It's actually the exact mechanism of your progress. You have to willingly walk into the fire.
You must override the default setting. There is no other way.
How do you do that in the moment, though?
Every time you feel that intense gravitational pull toward the couch, toward the distraction, toward hitting snooze, you have to recognize it as a phantom signal.
A false alarm.
Yes. You acknowledge the biological pull, you say, okay, I feel the laziness, and then you step into the discomfort intentionally anyway.
And to prove that this level of biological override isn't just some, abstract philosophical theory, we have to look at the people who have completely mastered this psychological warfare.
The people who actually live it.
Yes. We are talking about absolute titans of discomfort. And the text gives us 3 specific case studies, which I want to really spend some time breaking down, starting with David Goggins.
Oh, Goggins is the perfect starting point.
I mean, when you look at Goggins, you are looking at a guy who routinely runs ultramarathons, goes through Navy SEAL Hell Week multiple times, and pushes his body to the absolute brink of physiological failure.
He finds the edge and then steps over it.
But what is mechanically happening in his mind when the motivation completely disappears? Because he can't be motivated at mile 80 of a run.
Goggins is the ultimate case study in overriding what physiologists call the central governor.
The central governor, what is that?
The central governor theory suggests that the brain acts as a protective mechanism, sending massive signals of fatigue and pain long before the body reaches actual physical failure.
Like a governor on a golf cart that stops it from going too fast.
Exactly. It's your brain pulling the emergency brake because it's scared of potential damage.
Even though the muscles could theoretically keep going.
Yes. So when Goggins is at mile 70 of a 100-mile race, his kidneys might be failing, his feet are quite literally broken, and his motivation has been dead for 12 hours.
His central governor is just screaming at him to stop.
Screaming, red flashing lights everywhere.
So how does he take another step? If the brain is scheming danger, how does he bypass that emergency brake?
By redefining what pain actually means. Most people view pain and fatigue as a stop sign. It hurts, so I must stop.
Which is a natural reaction.
But Goggins views it simply as data. It's just information.
Just data.
Yeah. He relies on the predetermined decision of discipline. He has actively, consciously divorced his physical sensation of agony from his mechanical choice to move his legs.
Wow. He separates the feeling from the action.
He doesn't negotiate with the pain. He doesn't bargain and say, I'll run to the next tree and see how I feel.
Because the feeling is irrelevant.
Exactly. He says, I am going to finish this race, and the fact that I am in extreme agony is entirely irrelevant to that outcome.
That perfectly illustrates the concept of acting completely independent of your emotional and physical state. He literally strips the power away from the sensation.
It is profound mental control.
It really is. Now, if Goggins represents the extreme threshold of physical pain, Cristiano Ronaldo represents something equally difficult but structurally very different.
The daily grind.
Yes, the relentless grind of the daily baseline. The framework points out that Ronaldo trains daily at a world-class level, not because he feels like it, but because it is his standard.
That word is everything. Standard.
Let's dig into that word. For the listener trying to apply this, what is the psychological difference between a goal and a standard?
That distinction changes everything about how you operate. A goal is an objective you hope to achieve in the future. I want to win the championship. I want to lose 20 pounds.
It's something you aim for.
Right. And motivation is the fleeting feeling you hope to have while pursuing that goal.
But a standard.
A standard is your absolute floor. It is the baseline expectation you have for your own existence. It's not an aspiration, it is your identity.
It's a non-negotiable minimum.
Precisely. If your goal is to be a healthy person, you might go to the gym when you feel motivated.
Because it's a nice thing to do.
But if your standard is that you are an elite athlete, going to the gym is just what you do. It's like brushing your teeth.
You don't need a hype video to brush your teeth.
Exactly. You don't listen to a motivational podcast to floss because it's a baseline standard of your hygiene.
That makes so much sense.
For Ronaldo, executing flawless drills, optimizing his nutrition, and training with maximum intensity isn't something he hypes himself up for every morning.
It's not a special event.
No, it is simply his baseline reality.
I see. So when you elevate your actions from a thing I'm trying to do to a standard of who I am, you completely bypass that emotional negotiation we talked about earlier.
You eliminate the need to negotiate entirely. Ronaldo doesn't wake up and ask himself, do I feel like meeting my standard today?
The question doesn't even make sense to him.
It doesn't even compute neurologically. A standard is a structural pillar of your daily life. It is identity-based behavior, not outcome-based behavior.
And when behavior is tied to identity, discipline just becomes automatic.
It becomes who you are, not what you do.
That is such a powerful pivot for the listener. Instead of waking up and asking, how do I get motivated to do this hard thing? The question becomes, what is the absolute minimum standard I am willing to accept from myself today?
It shifts the entire paradigm.
It really does. And that brings us to the third titan in our analysis, Kobe Bryant. Specifically, the legendary stories of Kobe practicing for hours in empty gyms before the sun even came up.
The Mamba mentality.
Exactly. And this connects perfectly back to the physiological pull of comfort we discussed earlier.
Kobe's 4.0 a.m. routines are legendary precisely because they represent the ultimate rejection of biological comfort.
I mean, 4.0 a.m. is rough.
Think about the physical and psychological state of a human at 4.0 a.m. Your core body temperature is literally at its lowest point in the 24-hour cycle.
You are freezing.
Melatonin is still heavily circulating in your bloodstream. Your circadian rhythm is begging for deep REM sleep.
Everything is telling you to sleep.
And yet, Kobe would be on the court, drenched in sweat, practicing a single pivot foot movement 500 times in a row.
What fascinates me most about Kobe's early mornings is the isolation of it all. There are no fans in the stands at 4 a.m.
No cameras, no reporter.
Right, there is no external validation. He isn't getting a dopamine hit from the crowd cheering for him.
Exactly. The work happens entirely in the dark, and that is where greatness is forged. But, there is also a mathematical brutality to what Kobe did.
Mathematical? How so?
Think about the math. If you wake up at 4 a.m. and practice for 2 solid hours while your competition sleeps until 6 a.m., you are accumulating an insurmountable advantage.
Just based on sheer volume of hours.
Yes. Over a single day, it's 2 hours. You might not notice it. Over a year, it's hundreds of hours.
And over a 20-year career.
The compounding interest of those dark, unmotivated, disciplined mornings makes it mathematically impossible for the competition to ever catch you. They simply do not have enough hours left in their lives to close the gap.
It's compounding interest applied to human effort. That is mind-blowing. And notice something absolutely vital here for the listener.
Yeah.
None of these three titans, Goggins, Ronaldo, Kobe, were cited in this text for their natural, God-given talent.
That's a crucial observation.
Right. The text doesn't mention Goggins' VO2 max. It doesn't mention Ronaldo's fast-twitch muscle fibers or Kobe's height.
Because genetic gifts are entirely irrelevant to the equation of discipline. Talent is just the hand you are dealt at birth.
You can't control it.
No, but discipline is how you play the hand. These three men are highlighted strictly for their relentless daily choice to override their biological wiring and embrace discomfort.
So the burning question for the listener right now is, how do I actually build this?
Where do they start?
Exactly. If I'm currently stuck in that cycle of starting and stopping, how do I install this operating system in my own brain? The framework outlines a concept called the architecture of self-trust.
Yes, the foundation of it all.
It states very clearly that discipline is never built overnight. You cannot just wake up tomorrow and suddenly possess the willpower of David Goggins.
It would break you.
Right. It is constructed slowly and methodically through very small daily actions. Let's break down the mechanics of that.
Well, we have to look at the neurochemical ledger inside your brain.
The ledger, like an accounting book.
Exactly like an accounting book. Your brain is constantly monitoring your behavior to determine who you actually are. You are constantly gathering evidence about your own identity.
Okay, give me an example of how that works.
If you declare to yourself, I am going to wake up at 5 a.m. tomorrow and write a chapter of my book.
Sounds like a solid goal.
But then 5 a.m. rolls around and you hit snooze.
Classic.
You haven't just lost an hour of productivity. You have inflicted a deep psychological wound on your own self-concept.
Wait, let me bring in an analogy to make this really visceral for the listener. Imagine you have a friend. Let's call him Chris.
Okay, friend named Chris.
You make plans with Chris to get coffee on Tuesday morning. Tuesday rolls around and Chris texts you at the last minute, "Sorry man, I'm too tired. Let's do Thursday."
Mildly annoying, but you let it go.
Right, you say fine. Thursday comes and Chris texts again. "Sorry, I just don't feel inspired to go out today."
Now it's getting frustrating.
Now, if Chris does this to you 5, 6, 10 times in a row, what happens to your perception of Chris?
The relationship fractures. The trust is completely destroyed.
You stop believing a single word Chris says.
Absolutely. When Chris eventually says, "I'll be there tomorrow," your brain instantly dismisses it. You mentally roll your eyes. You know he's lying.
Exactly. You write him off as a flake. But here is the devastating realization from the text. We are doing this exact same thing to ourselves every single day.
We are Chris.
We are Chris. Every time you hit the snooze button when you promised yourself you'd get up, every time you skip the gym, every time you eat the garbage food you swore you'd stop eating, you are flaking on yourself.
That is a brilliant and honestly a very painful way to conceptualize it.
It hurts because it's true.
It is. Your subconscious mind is watching you flake. And just like you stop believing Chris, your subconscious stops believing you.
It stops taking your goals seriously.
Precisely. When you eventually try to set a massive goal like, "I'm going to start a business this year," your brain looks at the internal ledger.
And what does it see?
It sees hundreds of broken promises. It sees a massive history of you choosing comfort over commitment. So your brain refuses to give you the neurochemical drive required to execute.
Because it thinks you're just going to quit anyway.
Exactly. It thinks, why bother expending energy? We both know you're going to quit in 3 days anyway. Look at the ledger.
You essentially teach your brain learned helplessness. You teach it that your word means nothing. So how does the listener fire Chris? How do they repair that relationship with themselves?
By starting incredibly small and rigorously keeping your word. You have to rebuild the neural pathways of trust from scratch.
From the ground up?
Yes. This is why the framework emphasizes simple tasks. Making your bed perfectly, waking up the absolute second the alarm sounds, drinking a glass of water before looking at your phone.
Which seems almost too easy.
Right. The task itself is almost entirely irrelevant.
Right. I mean, making your bed doesn't magically make you a millionaire.
No, it doesn't. But making your bed when you promised yourself you would makes you a person of your word.
It's a deposit in the ledger.
Exactly. It registers as a kept promise. You are gathering irrefutable evidence that when you dictate an action, the action actually occurs.
And the framework delivers a really profound realization here. It says, discipline is self-respect in action. We really need to dwell on that phrase.
Discipline is self-respect in action. It completely reframes discipline.
It reframes it from a form of punishment into a form of intense self-love.
Exactly. When you respect someone, you honor your commitments to them. You don't waste their time. You show up when you say you will.
So when you respect yourself, you honor the commitments you make to your own future.
Yes. If you continuously act in alignment with your word, your self-esteem skyrockets.
Naturally, without having to fake it.
Because self-esteem isn't something you can just manifest by looking in a mirror and repeating empty affirmations.
I am great. I am disciplined.
That doesn't work if the ledger is negative. Real self-esteem is an internal reputation you build with yourself through a long history of kept promises.
And as that self-trust compounds day after day, it leads us directly into the core engine of actual success. The text moves into the stark reality of long-term consistency.
The unglamorous part.
Very unglamorous. It lays out the hard truth. One day of maximum Herculean effort will not change your life.
Not even a little bit.
Doing a 6-hour workout on January 1st means absolutely nothing.
You'll just be sore on January 2nd.
Exactly. But consistent, moderate effort will reshape your entire reality. It emphasizes doing the work every single day, even when it's relentlessly boring.
And this is where we must confront the illusion of the modern highlight reel.
Oh, let's talk about the highlight reel.
Motivation is highly cinematic. It looks great in a montage. You can put a dramatic music track over it, show some quick cuts of someone sweating.
The Rocky training montage.
Yes, but consistency. Consistency is profoundly unglamorous. It is the silent, invisible accumulation of tiny, boring choices.
I really want to talk directly to the listener about this highlight reel culture. Because you open Instagram or LinkedIn, and success always looks so fast-paced and exciting.
It looks like it happened overnight.
Always. You see the massive product launch, the championship trophy being lifted, the stunning before and after photo.
But you miss the middle.
Exactly. You never see the thousands of hours of sheer mind-numbing repetition that actually produce those results. So how does a listener whose brain is currently addicted to high dopamine novelty actually reframe their mind to embrace the profound boredom of the daily grind?
It requires a deliberate dopamine detox regarding your expectations of work.
What does that mean?
You have to stop romanticizing the outcome and start deeply valuing the mundane reality of the process itself. You must understand the concept of habituation.
Habituation.
Yeah. When you first start something, it's novel, so your brain gives you a hit of dopamine. It feels fun and exciting.
That starter motor again.
Right. But after 3 weeks, the novelty wears off. The dopamine flatlines. Your brain says, okay, we've done this, it's not new anymore.
And then it gets boring.
This is the boredom phase, and this is exactly where 90% of your competition quits.
Oh, wow. So boredom is actually a filter.
Boredom is the ultimate competitive advantage.
If you can survive it.
If you can metabolize boredom, if you can sit at your desk on a random Tuesday in November, when there is no excitement, no praise, no dramatic music, and no immediate financial reward.
And you still do the work.
And you still execute your standard simply because it is your standard, you become unstoppable.
That is powerful.
The boring days are actually the most crucial days of your life because those are the days where discipline is doing the heavy lifting entirely on its own.
You have to fall in love with the boredom, or at the very least, stop viewing it as a sign that you are doing something wrong.
Exactly. Boredom is not an error message.
Feeling bored doesn't mean you're off the path. It means you are finally walking the path reliably.
It means the habit is locking in.
Which brings us to the final and undoubtedly the most mind-bending concept we are unpacking today. The ultimate paradox.
This is my favorite part of the manifesto.
The text states definitively, discipline equals freedom. It argues that without discipline, you are controlled by your habits, but with discipline, you control your life.
It is an incredible paradox, but it is the absolute linchpin of mastering human behavior.
I have to admit, I'm struggling to reconcile this, and I know the listener probably is too. On the surface, it sounds like a complete oxymoron.
It sounds contradictory, sure.
Most people view discipline as a straitjacket. I mean, think about it. A strict schedule, waking up before dawn, meal prepping, avoiding distractions, grinding through boring tasks. It feels like a prison.
It feels restrictive.
Yeah, people want to be free, to be spontaneous. They want to wake up and do whatever they feel like. How can this rigid, highly uncomfortable structure possibly equate to freedom?
To resolve the paradox, we must ruthlessly examine what a lack of discipline actually looks like in reality.
Okay, let's look at it.
If you lack discipline, you might tell yourself you are free. You say, I am free to sleep until 10:00 a.m. I am free to eat a whole box of donuts. I am free to scroll through social media for 4 hours.
I'm just being spontaneous.
I'm just going with the flow, right? But look closer. Are you actually making a conscious, free choice to do those things? Or are you simply yielding to the path of least resistance?
That's a deep question.
Let's connect this back to the brain's default settings we talked about. Your brain naturally craves instant dopamine and caloric conservation.
The lazy survival machine.
Yes. When you sit on the couch and scroll TikTok for 3 hours, you aren't exercising free will.
What are you doing then?
You are literally being farmed by an algorithm that is exploiting your primal neurology. When you hit the snooze button, you aren't choosing rest. Your fatigue is dominating your consciousness.
So a lack of discipline isn't freedom at all. It's captivity.
Complete captivity.
You are a hostage to your lowest level impulses.
Precisely. You are trapped in the cage of your own default programming.
Yeah.
You are a slave to your cravings, your lethargy, and your fleeting emotions.
That is terrifying when you put it like that.
It should be. True freedom is the ability to dictate your own actions. By enforcing discipline, you are staging a rebellion against your own biology.
A rebellion. I love that.
When you tell your body, we are waking up at 5 a.m., and your body screams, no, I am exhausted, and you physically force yourself out of bed anyway, That is the highest expression of human freedom.
You have asserted conscious control over the physical vehicle.
Exactly. You're driving the car, not the engine.
That completely flips the script. Discipline isn't the straitjacket. The straitjacket is your impulsivity.
Yes.
Discipline is the tool you use to pick the lock and get out of the straitjacket.
Beautifully said. Discipline provides the architecture that allows you to design your future, rather than just accepting whatever tragic, mediocre future your lazy habits hand to you.
Because choices have consequences.
Always. Financial discipline now equals financial freedom later. Physical discipline now equals freedom from disease and mobility issues later.
So the structure is what creates the space for true agency.
You are no longer the victim of your feelings. You are the architect of your reality.
So let's bring all of this down to the ground. What does this all mean for the listener right now today? As we synthesize everything we've pulled apart, the illusion of motivation, the trap of perfectionism, the biology of comfort, the ledger of self-trust, and the paradox of freedom, the mandate is incredibly stark.
The mandate is action.
Yes, stop waiting for the starter motor, stop waiting for the skies to part and the feeling of motivation to strike you like lightning.
It's not coming.
It is a biological illusion, it is inherently temporary, and it will absolutely abandon you when the work gets hard.
You must recognize that the feeling of readiness is a myth. You will never feel perfectly ready to do the hard thing.
The conditions will never be optimal.
Never. The time to act is right now, utilizing the cold, reliable mechanics of discipline. You have to start building the architecture of self-trust today.
So to everyone listening right now, we have a challenge for you. Look at your life over the next 24 hours. Just one single cycle of the sun.
Keep it simple.
Find one incredibly small promise you can make to yourself. Maybe it's drinking a glass of water the moment you wake up. Maybe it's reading 10 pages of a book. Maybe it's doing 5 push-ups.
It doesn't matter what it is.
Make the promise and then keep it. Do not negotiate with your fatigue. Do not check your emotional temperature to see if you feel like doing it.
Just do it.
Just pick up the wrench and execute. Begin to repair the ledger.
And as we close, I want to leave you with one final, sobering thought to dissect long after this conversation ends.
What's the thought?
We have established that your entire future is built by the compounding interest of your daily actions. So I want you to conduct a ruthless audit of the choices you made over the last 24 hours.
Oh, it's gonna hurt for some people.
It should. Look at the exact moments you encountered friction yesterday. Look at the times you chose the dopamine hit of comfort and the times you chose the structural integrity of discomfort.
The times you flaked versus the times you showed up.
Yes. Now imagine if you locked in those exact same choices and repeated them every single day for the next 365 days.
Just a loop of yesterday.
Based solely on the trajectory of yesterday's actions.
Right.
Where will you end up a year from now? And the most terrifying question of all, are you okay with that destination?
If you got value from this episode, make sure to subscribe to Real Talk 24us, like the video, and share it with someone who needs it. And remember, discipline builds your future. See you in the next episode.